Hello, all you freedom-loving people. Welcome to another episode of Front Page. I'm your host, Scott Cameron Goulet. Judge Engoron probably didn't expect the chain reaction to his decision in President Trump's commercial fraud case. The people of New York may also help pay the price. Not only does President Trump have the support of grassroots and high-level investors, but he has also utilized his business talents to actively explore business markets beyond real estate. And God seems to be helping President Trump. The value of President Trump's Truth Social has soared. And even former Attorney General Bill Barr, who has been critical of President Trump, says that he will vote for President Trump. So will the Fed raise or lower interest rates in May? January's numbers may make us all wonder. Okay, let's get into it. As we mentioned yesterday, a group of pro-President Trump truckers have announced that they will not transport loads to New York City. The truckers said that they were acting in response to President Trump's being ruled to pay the $355 million fine. And he is being banned from doing business in New York for 3 years. A trucker who goes by Chicago Ray posted a video on X on Friday in which he said that he had spoken to at least 10 truckers who would begin refusing to deliver goods to New York City in protest of the ruling against President Trump. Chicago Ray said that 3 of the people he spoke with were coworkers who had texted their bosses and told him they weren't going to New York. Chicago Ray wrote, "I'm just one of many millions of truckers who believe in God and love this country. I stand with Trump because Trump stands with me. Truckers for Trump ain't just a slogan, it's real." I don't know how far across the country this is or how many truckers are going to start denying loads to New York City, but our bosses don't care if we deny the load, we'll just go somewhere else. Another driver known as American Trucker on X joined the boycott. He wrote, "We got your back, Chicago Ray, no New York City." And someone who goes by the Disrespected Trucker wrote, "I vow that I will not make one delivery to New York, none. Who's with me? Truckers for Trump." Glenn Beck interviewed several truckers on Monday who also confirmed that they had already informed their dispatch that they would not accept loads to New York City. Since Chicago Ray shared the video, others have chimed in on the boycott saying that they support the move. One person posted, "Do it. Let us know how we can help. You're not alone in this fight." Another added, "Thank you from the many here on X for your courage to stand up to the Marxist leftists." Jennifer Hernandez, a trucker who also supports the boycott, warned in an interview with News Nation on Monday that it could paralyze New York City. She said that if New York lost just 10% of its trucks, prices would skyrocket from everything from milk and eggs to any type of goods that consumers need. Many truckers are independent, so they said that they have the freedom to pick and choose where they go. If the loads are picked up by other truckers, and if they are new to driving in New York City, that could cause havoc because getting around in their rigs in New York City for the first time will prove to be a nightmare for them. During Saturday's rally in Michigan, President Trump predicted that Judge Engoron's ruling would have far-reaching implications. Venture capitalist Kevin O'Leary shared his view. He said the New York civil court ruling against President Trump would prompt an exodus of businesses from New York and turn the state into a super loser. In an interview with Fox News on Monday, Kevin O'Leary criticized the ruling. He argued that there is no rationale for it, and that it makes New York State, which already has problems with investment, even worse. He said, "I would never invest in New York now, and I'm not the only person saying that." Do you think any foreign institution or any private equity firm or any pension fund would touch New York? No. That's why New Yorkers should be concerned. He used Tennessee as a positive example to illustrate the failure of New York State. He said, "Winner states versus loser states. Look at Tennessee right now. Fastest growing city in America right now, Nashville. Winner state, good policy, competitive taxes." You've got to start thinking about this in context of winners and losers. New York, mega loser state. In an interview with the New York Post the other day, O'Leary again denounced the ruling. He said that the ruling turned New York into a super loser state that was uninvestable. He called the ruling appalling, unjust, and un-American. He He also warned that if the ruling is not overturned, it could trigger a mass exodus of businesses from the state. President Trump took to Truth Social on Saturday to praise O'Leary for his sharp rebuke of Justice Engoron's ruling. President Trump wrote, "Thank you to Kevin O'Leary, a great entrepreneur and star. Just watch the exodus of business from New York." On Monday, President Trump again posted an approving message on Truth Social. He wrote, "Kevin O'Leary is so great and tells it like it is. Businesses will flee New York City and state after the corrupt judge's ruling." It seems that God is also helping President Trump. Last Thursday, the day before the New York judge's ruling, the SEC approved the listing of Trump Media and Technology Group, the entity that launched Truth Social, and the merger with Digital World Acquisition Corp, or DWAC. The SEC's approval comes at an opportune time for President Trump, who has recently been ordered to pay huge legal settlements and who faces ongoing litigation with huge financial implications. According to a recent SEC filing, if the merger is completed, President Trump would own nearly 79 million shares in the new business, or as much as 69% of the combined company, a DWAC filing shows. That stake could be worth as much as $3.95 billion based on DWAC's stock price on Thursday. On Thursday, DWAC stock surged 29% to $55 at one point following the SEC news. DWAC's IPO has evolved beyond the typical shell listing model in what Matt Tuttle, the founder of Tuttle Capital Management, calls an election stock. In January of this year, when Donald Trump won his first Republican election in Iowa, DWAC's stock prices soared nearly 200% in 6 consecutive days. It reached a 2-year high. In particular, DWAC stock rose 88% on January 22nd when Ron DeSantis announced on January 21st that he was withdrawing from the Republican Party's 2024 presidential primary, and he endorsed President Trump for the party's nomination. Former Attorney General Bill Barr had not been forthcoming about who he will support if President Trump wins the Republican presidential primary. However, just as President Trump is on the verge of officially winning the primary, Barr has said that he will support his former boss. In his speech at the Forum Club of Southwest Florida luncheon in Naples, Florida, last weekend, Barr stated, "Voting for Trump is playing with Russian roulette with the country. Voting for Biden is outright national suicide." This is also in line with his previous statements. Back in March of 2022, Barr said in an interview with NBC News that he would support another Republican for the nomination. He will still vote for President Trump if President Trump is selected as the Republican presidential nominee in 2024. He believes that the biggest threat to the country is the progressive agenda that is promoted by the Democrats. He cannot imagine himself voting for anyone other than the Republican nominee. Since President Trump left office in January of 2021, Barr has been critical of President Trump. Barr has maintained that President Trump is solely responsible for some of the trouble that he has gotten himself into, such as the federal case over classified documents, which may have been a search for the missing Russia collusion hoax report. However, Barr has defended President Trump in other criminal cases, such as the Manhattan District Attorney's Office alleged hush money case and the 2 election-related cases. Before we move on, please like and share this video to help us spread the truth. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And if you have already subscribed, we thank you, but please double check to make sure that you are still subscribed, because some of our audience have reported that they're somehow unsubscribed without their knowledge. Okay, let's get back into it. Not surprising, Western and NATO leaders are united in accusing Russian President Vladimir Putin after the death of Navalny last week. But President Trump has avoided talking about it, and of course he has been criticized by his political opponents for doing so. So what does President Trump know that they don't? He has been criticized in the past for praising Putin. President Trump finally broke his silence for the first time on Monday on President's Day to speak publicly about Navalny. But President Trump did not condemn Putin. President Trump posted, "The sudden death of Alexei Navalny has made me more and more aware of what is happening in our country. It is a slow, steady progression with crooked, radical left politicians, prosecutors, and judges leading us down a path to destruction. Open borders and grossly unfair courtroom decisions are destroying America. We are a nation in decline, a failing nation. MAGA 2024. Recently, President Trump had hinted on a campaign occasion that he was not opposed to Russia facing off against NATO members that failed to meet their financial obligations. This is a remark that has set off a wave of criticism at home and abroad, but Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte says that Europe should stop complaining about President Trump. Rutte told the Munich Security Conference, "We should stop moaning and whining and nagging about Trump." The current NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg will step down from his post in October of 2024. The outgoing Prime Minister of the Netherlands, Mark Rutte, is the favorite to become the next NATO Secretary General. Rutte also said, "It's up to the Americans. I'm not an American. I cannot vote in the U.S. We have to work with whoever is on the dance floor." In any case, Rutte said Europe should increase its defense spending and ramp up its ammunition production. And not just because President Trump is making a comeback. Rutte also said, "All that whining and moaning about Trump, I hear that constantly over the last couple of days. Let's stop doing that." Rutte made a surprise announcement last July that he was quitting politics. He said that he did not know whether he was considered a favorite to lead NATO and would not launch a personal campaign. Mortgage rates have surged to a 10-week high this week, while higher than expected inflation data have called into question the notion that the economy is on a steady deflation trend. Rates on 30-year fixed-rate mortgages rose to 6.77 from 6.64 last week. This is according to Freddie Mac. 2 years ago, the average interest rate on a 30-year mortgage was about 3.92%. Borrowing costs for 15-year fixed-rate mortgages also rose, pushing the average rate to 6.12% from 5.90% last week. This comes after the CPI report earlier last week and the PPI report on Friday both beat expectations. For the past 2 years, the U.S. housing market has been in a slump due to rising mortgage rates and shortages of homes in supply. 2023 pending home sales fell to their lowest point in nearly 30 years, dropping nearly 19% year over year. According to Redfin, 2024 pending home sales fell 8% in January, which is the largest drop in 4 months. Redfin attributed this to a stronger than expected job report in January, fueling inflation fears and suggesting that the Federal Reserve may keep interest rates higher for a longer period of time. This concern is also consistent with the prediction of Lawrence Summers, the former U.S. Secretary of Treasury and the whistleblower of U.S. hyperinflation. He said on Friday that the latest data show that the persistence of inflationary pressure suggests that the next step in the Fed's policy may be to raise interest rates rather than lower them. He said during an interview, "There's a meaningful chance, maybe 15%, that the Federal Reserve's next move is going to be upwards in rates, not downwards." However, Summers emphasized it's always a mistake to overinterpret 1 month's number, and that's especially true in January, where calculating seasonality is difficult. But Summers argues that we must recognize the possibility of a small shift in paradigm. Leaving aside rental units, the cost of owner-occupied housing is not showing deflation, and price pressures are likely to continue for the remainder of 2024. As such, the assumption that inflation was headed down to 2% in a tranquil, healthy, real economy has certainly been called into question by these data. And that's a wrap for this episode. Thank you so much for your support of Front Page. Please remember that every like, comment, and share helps more people to see the truth. We've also heard from many of our viewers that they don't get notifications of our videos anymore. So please follow us on Telegram, Gab, Getter, True Social, and on Ganjing World for the latest updates. Okay, this is our show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you heard today, please don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends and family, because everybody deserves to know the truth. Again, thank you for watching Front Page, and we will see you next time.